The Villa Capri restaurant in Los Angeles, June 1962. Dean Martin was finishing his third glass of wine when Marilyn Monroe walked in alone. She looked lost, not the glamorous lost that photographers love to capture, the real kind, the kind that made you want to help. Dean waved her over. "Marilyn, over here." She saw him and something in her face changed. Relief. She walked to his table and sat down without being invited. Her hands were shaking. "Dean, I didn't know where else to go. What happened?" Peter Lawford. "He just told me I'm not welcome at the Kennedy compound anymore, that Bobby wants me gone, that I'm becoming a problem." Dean set down his glass. "A problem?" "That's what he said. A problem that needs to disappear." To understand the magnitude of what happened that night, you need to understand who Marilyn Monroe was in June 1962. She wasn't just an actress, she was the most famous woman in America, possibly the world. But fame doesn't protect you, sometimes it makes you more vulnerable. Marilyn had been involved with both Kennedy brothers. Everyone in Hollywood knew it. Everyone in Washington knew it. It was the worst-kept secret in America. But secrets like that are only kept quiet when everyone agrees to keep them quiet. When someone becomes inconvenient, when someone knows too much, when someone might talk, that's when the machinery starts moving. Peter Lawford was the connection. He was married to Patricia Kennedy, JFK's sister. He was also a member of the Rat Pack, which meant he ran in the same circles as Dean, Frank, and Sammy. Peter was the bridge between Hollywood and the White House. And now Peter had just delivered a message to Marilyn that chilled Dean to the bone. "What exactly did Peter say?" Dean asked. Marilyn's eyes were wet. "He said Bobby called him personally, said I was becoming unstable, said I was making threats." "Dean, I never made any threats. I just wanted to know why Bobby stopped calling, why he won't see me anymore. I thought we had something real." And Peter's response? "He told me to forget I ever knew them, both of them. Said it would be better for everyone if I just went away quietly." Dean leaned back in his chair. He knew Peter Lawford, had worked with him for years. Peter was charming, funny, good company at parties. But Peter was also weak. Peter did whatever the Kennedys told him to do. If Peter was delivering this message, it came from the top. Where's Peter now? He went to some party at the Daisy, said he had to be seen somewhere public tonight, said it was important. Dean stood up. "Stay here. Order whatever you want. I'll be back." Marilyn grabbed his arm. "Dean, you don't want to get involved in this. These people, they're dangerous. More dangerous than you know. I know exactly how dangerous they are." "Then why would you—" "Because you're my friend, Marilyn. And friends don't let friends get thrown away like garbage." The Daisy was a private club on Rodeo Drive. The kind of place where movie stars and politicians mingled, where deals were made over martinis, where secrets were traded like currency. Dean walked in at 11:30 p.m. and spotted Peter Lawford immediately. Peter was holding court at a corner table, surrounded by studio executives and their wives. He was laughing at something, that easy Lawford laugh that made everyone feel included. When he saw Dean approaching, the laugh died. "Dean, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you. Now."
"I'm in the middle of—"
"Now, Peter." Something in Dean's voice made everyone at the table go quiet. Peter excused himself and followed Dean to a private alcove near the back of the club. "What's this about?" "Marilyn." Peter's face tightened. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult me. She came to my table 30 minutes ago shaking like a leaf, told me what you said to her, what Bobby told you to say." "Dean, you don't understand the situation." "Then explain it to me." Peter glanced around, making sure no one was listening. "She's becoming a liability. She calls Bobby's office constantly. She shows up at places she shouldn't be. She's unstable, Dean, genuinely unstable, and she knows things that could hurt a lot of people. So the solution is to make her feel like she's worthless? To tell her to disappear? The solution is damage control. Bobby's the attorney general, Jack's the president. They can't have some actress calling their offices crying about broken promises." "Some actress," Dean repeated. "That's what she is now? Some actress?" "You know what I mean." "I know exactly what you mean. You used her. Both of them used her. And now that she's inconvenient, you're throwing her away, telling her to vanish like she never existed." Peter's voice dropped to a whisper. "Dean, stay out of this. I'm serious. You don't want these people as enemies." "What are they going to do, kill me?" Peter didn't answer. His silence said everything. Dean stepped closer. "Let me tell you something about Marilyn Monroe. I've known her for 10 years. I made a movie with her. She's not unstable. She's scared. There's a difference. Scared because she trusted people who promised her things, people who made her feel special, and now those same people are treating her like a disposable napkin. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. It's exactly that simple. You tell Bobby Kennedy something for me. Tell him Dean Martin says, if anything happens to Marilyn, anything at all, I'll make sure every newspaper in America knows exactly why. I'll tell them about the phone calls, the visits, the promises, everything. Peter went pale. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking? Dean, you'd be destroyed. They'd ruin you. Maybe. But I'd take them down with me. You think the American public would forgive their golden president if they found out how he and his brother treated Marilyn Monroe? You think Catholics would vote Kennedy again after that story came out? You don't have any proof. I have Marilyn, and right now she's sitting at my table at the Villa Capri, writing down everything she remembers. Names, dates, places, every phone call, every meeting, every broken promise. I told her to be thorough. This wasn't entirely true, but Peter didn't know that. Peter's face had gone from pale to gray. What do you want? I want you to leave her alone. I want Bobby to leave her alone. I want them to stop treating her like a problem that needs to be solved. She's a human being, Peter. She deserves to be treated like one. And if I can't guarantee that, then I start making phone calls. Tonight. Peter stood there, calculating, trying to figure out if Dean was bluffing. The thing about Dean Martin was that nobody ever really knew what he was thinking. That sleepy, casual exterior could hide anything. I'll talk to Bobby, Peter finally said. Talk to him tonight. Dean. Tonight, Peter. And you call me when it's done. I don't care what time it is. Dean walked back to the Villa Capri. Marilyn was still there, nursing a glass of water, looking even more fragile than when he'd left. What happened? I talked to Peter. And he's going to talk to Bobby. Tonight. Things might be different tomorrow. Dean, what did you say to him? Dean sat down. I told him the truth, that you're my friend, that I won't stand by while people I care about get destroyed by people who think they're untouchable. Marilyn's eyes filled with tears. Why would you do that? Why would you risk? Because it's the right thing to do. But the Kennedys, they're the most powerful family in America. Power doesn't mean you get to treat people like garbage, Marilyn. Power means you have a responsibility to do better, and when you don't, someone has to stand up and say it's not okay. Marilyn reached across the table and took Dean's hand. No one's ever stood up for me like that. Not once. My whole life, people have used me, pushed me around, told me to be quiet and look pretty, and when I became inconvenient, they threw me away, every single time. Not this time. Why are you different, Dean? What makes you different? Dean thought about it. My mother. She came to America from Italy with nothing, worked her whole life, never complained, never asked for anything, and I watched how men treated her sometimes, how they dismissed her because she was a woman, because she was an immigrant, because she didn't speak perfect English. I swore I'd never be like those men. I'd never treat anyone like they were less than human. Your mother sounds wonderful. She was. She died in 1966. Never got to see a lot of my success. But I think about her every day. What she would think. What she would want me to do. And I know, she would want me to help you tonight. At 2:30 a.m., the phone rang at Dean's house. It was Peter Lawford. I talked to Bobby. And? He agreed. No more pressure on Marilyn. No more messages. No more interventions. She'll be left alone. How do I know this is real? Because I've never heard Bobby sound scared before. When I told him what you said, about going to the newspapers, about Marilyn writing everything down. Dean, he went quiet. Bobby Kennedy doesn't go quiet. He argues, he fights, he dominates. But when I told him your message, he went silent for almost a minute. Good. Dean, I need to ask you something. Were you bluffing? About Marilyn writing everything down? Does it matter? I guess not. Then don't ask questions you don't need answers to. Good night, Peter. The next morning, Dean called Marilyn. How are you feeling? Better. A lot better. I slept for the first time in weeks.
Good. Listen, I talked to Peter again late last night. He says Bobby's going to back off. You shouldn't have any more trouble from them.
There was silence on the line. Marilyn, you there? I'm here. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Yes, I do. Dean, you saved me. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't been at the Villa Capri last night. I was in a very dark place. A very, very dark place. Dean's heart clenched. He understood what she meant. Marilyn, if you ever feel that way again, you call me. Day or night, I don't care what time it is. You call me and I'll be there. I will. I promise. Good. Now get some rest. And Marilyn? Yes? You're not disposable. You're not a problem. You're a talented, beautiful, kind person who deserves to be treated with dignity. Don't let anyone, Kennedy or otherwise, make you feel like less than you are. Marilyn was crying now. Thank you, Dean. Thank you for seeing me, the real me. That's all I've ever seen. 6 weeks later, on August 5th, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her home. Barbiturate overdose. She was 36 years old. Dean got the call at 4 a.m. He didn't speak for the rest of the day. At her funeral, Dean stood in the back, wearing dark sunglasses to hide his tears. He watched as Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn's ex-husband, organized everything. Joe had banned the Kennedys from attending, banned Peter Lawford too. Joe knew who had hurt her. Joe understood. After the service, Dean found himself standing at Marilyn's grave. The other mourners had left. It was just him and the flowers, and the August sun beating down. I tried, Marilyn, he said quietly. I tried to protect you. I thought I'd given you more time. I thought maybe things would be different. He stood there for a long time, thinking about that night at the Villa Capri, thinking about how scared she'd looked, how grateful she'd been that anyone had stood up for her. I should have done more, he said. I should have stayed with you, made sure you were really okay, but I thought the danger was from them. I didn't realize. He couldn't finish the sentence. 3 days after the funeral, Dean got a letter. It had been mailed before Marilyn's death, postmarked August 3rd. Dear Dean, I wanted to write this down because I'm not good at saying things in person. What you did for me that night at the Villa Capri, I'll never forget it. No one's ever stood up for me like that. Not my mother, not my husband's, not the studio, just you. You asked me why you're different. I've thought about it a lot. I think it's because you're not afraid of powerful people, not afraid of consequences, not afraid to do what's right even when it's dangerous. Most people are afraid all the time. That fear makes them small, makes them cruel, makes them turn away when someone needs help. But not you. You walked into that club and told Peter Lawford that I mattered. You threatened the Kennedys to protect me. You risked your career, maybe your life, for a woman most people think is just a dumb blonde.
I'm not a dumb blonde, Dean. I'm a person. And you're one of the only people who's ever seen that.
Whatever happens from here, I want you to know that night meant everything to me. You gave me hope when I had none. You showed me that there are still good people in this world. People who care about something bigger than themselves. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for seeing me. Love always. Always, Marilyn. Dean read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his desk drawer, next to the photo of his mother and a letter from his brother Bill. He sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. The phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. He ignored it. On the 3rd ring, he picked up. Dean, it's Frank. You okay? No, Frank. I'm not okay. I heard about Marilyn. I'm sorry. I tried to save her, Frank. That night in June, I confronted Peter. I threatened the Kennedys. I thought I'd bought her time. You did what you could. It wasn't enough. Frank was quiet for a moment. Dean, listen to me. What happened to Marilyn? That's not on you. You were the only one who tried to help her. The only one who stood up when everyone else looked away. That matters. Does it? She's still dead. But she knew she had a friend. She knew someone cared. In this town, in this business, that's not nothing. That's everything. Dean thought about Marilyn's letter, about her words. You gave me hope when I had none. Frank, I need some time. Take whatever you need. But Dean, what you did for Marilyn, standing up to Peter, threatening the Kennedys, that took guts. Real guts. Most people would have looked the other way. You didn't. That's who you are. Don't forget it. Years later, in 1976, Dean was interviewed for a book about Hollywood's golden age. The writer asked about Marilyn Monroe. Everyone asks about Marilyn, Dean said. They want the gossip, the scandal, the Kennedy stuff. What do you want to tell them? That she was kind, that she was scared, that she deserved better than what she got. There are rumors you tried to help her before she died. Dean was quiet for a long moment. I tried. It wasn't enough. Can you tell me what happened? No. Why not? Because some things are private. Some things belong to the people involved and nobody else. You're protecting her. I'm protecting her memory. There's a difference. The writer leaned forward. What would you want people to know about Marilyn Monroe? Dean thought about it. I'd want them to know she was more than a symbol, more than a sex symbol, more than a scandal. She was a person, a real person with hopes and fears and dreams, and the world used her up and threw her away like she was nothing. And you? I tried to tell her she was something. I don't know if she believed me. I hope she did. I hope that in her last days, she remembered that someone thought she mattered. The interview ended there. Dean wouldn't say more. At Dean's funeral in December 1995, his daughter Deanna found a box in his closet. Inside were 3 letters, one from his mother, one from his brother Bill, and one from Marilyn Monroe. Deanna read Marilyn's letter and cried. "Dad kept this for 33 years, she said to her brother Richie. He never told anyone. That's Dad. He protected the people he loved, even after they were gone. Especially after they were gone," Deanna said. She thought about her father, about how he'd lived his life, about the stories that would never be told because he refused to tell them. "He was the best of us, wasn't he?" "Yeah," Richie said. "He really was." The story of Dean Martin and Marilyn Monroe isn't in the history books. It isn't in the biographies or the documentaries or the Hollywood memoirs. Because Dean never talked about it. He never used it to make himself look good. He never traded on her memory for attention or sympathy. He just kept her letter in a drawer and remembered her as she really was, scared, hopeful, grateful for kindness. That's the Dean Martin most people never knew. Not the cool guy with the martini glass. Not the Rat Pack singer with the effortless charm. But the man who walked into a club and threatened the most powerful family in America to defend a woman everyone else had abandoned. The man who tried to save Marilyn Monroe. The man who carried her letter for 33 years. The man who never stopped believing that kindness matters, that dignity matters, that standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves is the most important thing you can do. That's not just courage, that's character. That's Dean Martin.